A model for deterministic inventory with deteriorating items with demand dependent on time fractionally and constant holding and cost deterioration rate. Abstract A. The paper presents an inventory model for deteriorating items where demand rate dependent on time raised to power m by n. All other parameters like deterioration rate and holding cost and ordering costs are considered as constant. Shortages are allowed and fully backlogged. This model is numerically verified with the help of numerical illustration. Maple 18 software is used to verify the model graphically. Keywords: inventory model, deterministic, deterioration, time dependent, shortages, fractional polynomial. Component. Introduction. Inventory is basically a product that needs to be controlled in order to maximize profit. Inventory control includes some tasks like shipping, purchasing, packaging, tracking, and many more services. Inventory includes goods which are particularly of two types. The first type includes goods which deteriorate with time like bread and fruits etc., and the second type includes the goods which do not deteriorate with time if placed in a soothing environment like paper and cotton etc. Several researchers have considered the demand rate to be constant, and some considered the demand rate to be a linear or quadratic function of time. The demand rate of certain goods was found to be dependent on selling price and some dependent on time. B. N. Mondal and S. Faoidar from Calcutta University constructed an inventory model for deteriorating items where they considered demand rate depends on stock. Mohit Rastogi, Prashant Kushwaha, S.R. Singh, and Shilpi Tail. 18 invented the inventory model with price-sensitive demand. Vinod Kumar Mishra and Lal Sahab Singh 12 developed deteriorating inventory with linear demand and constant deterioration. A. K. Jalan, R. R. Giri, and K. S. Chaudhuri 7 developed an EOQ model with linear demand and weighable distribution deterioration, and Y. K. Shah 5 considered linear demand with exponential deterioration. Kuo Lungho 4 constructed a model with linear demand and constant deterioration and is applied to on-hand inventory. Y. K. Shah and Ram B. Misra 12 invented deterministic inventory with a constant demand rate, and no replacement or repairing is allowed in a given cycle. Mingbao Cheng and Kuaking. Wang 9 constructed an inventory model for deteriorating items with trapezoidal type demand rate and constant deterioration rate. Chaitanya Kumar Tripathi and Umakant Mishra in 11 presented an order-level inventory as system with time-dependent weighable deterioration and ramp-type demand rate where production and demand are time-dependent. S. K. Ghosh and K. S. Chaudhuri 3 constructed an inventory model for deteriorating items having instantaneous supply, demand was a quadratic time-varying, and a two-parameter weighable distribution is taken to represent the time deterioration. In 2014, S.R. Singh and Himanshu Rathore in 16 considered deterioration rate to be a controlled variable and demand linearly dependent on time. Later in 2016, Nita H. Shah with Urmila Chaudhary and Mrudal Y. Yani 17 constructed an integrated production inventory model with preservation technology investment for the time-varying deteriorating item under time and price-sensitive demand, and Nita Shah in 2018 with Monica K. Naik constructed an EOQ model for the deteriorating item under full advance payment availing of discount when demand is price-sensitive. Abu Hassan M.D. Mashud 19 developed an EOQ deteriorating inventory model with different types of demand and fully backlogged shortages where he considered demand rate as a function of time as well as the selling price. Ajuntaroy 8 invented an inventory model for deteriorating items with price-dependent demand and time-varying holding cost. Amuth and Drive E. Chandrasekaran 13 developed an inventory model for deteriorating products with weighable distribution deterioration, partial backlogging, and time-varying demand. In this paper, a deterministic inventory model is developed for deteriorating items which deals with a single item with demand rate as a function of time raised to power m by n and deterioration rate is constant. The holding cost is considered to be constant, and the shortages are allowed and fully backlogged. The inventory model uses the following assumptions: A. In the period 0, inventory level is positive and decreasing, and at time t equals, the inventory level reaches to 0 and shortage starts and inventory became negative in the period t, The differential equation for instantaneous inventory level at time t is as follows. In order to minimize the total inventory cost, we find the optimal values of t and the optimal values of t and can be obtained by equating the partial derivatives of total inventory cost with respect to t and respectively to 0. For optimal value of nt we have 4 concluding remarks. A deterministic inventory model based demand dependent on time raised to the power m by n, constant decline rate, and constant holding cost is built in this paper. The total optimal cost has been calculated for the values of nt, satisfying the necessary condition. The model has been tested using numerical and graphical diagrams. This model refers to the model in which demand changes fractionally over time as commodity prices increase day by day. This model is more realistic to the environment. As a result, future cities and businesses will benefit greatly from the paradigm.